Good evening, everybody, and welcome along to the Sea Live podcast. My name is Sam, and as always, it wouldn't be a Sea Live podcast if I didn't have my trusted friend and podcast sidekick, Mr. Christopher Barnes. How you doing, mate?
Hey, how are you, mate? You had a good week?
Really nice week. Nice, chilled, relaxed, lovely work. How about you?
I'm all right. I was all right till this afternoon when I realised who we had on, and then I got a bit nervous.
Well,
You're ill.
should we get him in, Chris? I'm nervous. You're probably more nervous than what I am, to be honest. Ladies and gentlemen, go on, mate.
This is going to be interesting because I can imagine the stories that we're going to hear in the next 40 minutes are just going to be unbelievable. So, let's have it.
Let's have it. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, we have a living rock legend. It is our privilege and pleasure to welcome onto the Sea Live podcast, Mr. John Rhino Edwards. Yeah!
Actually, you are lucky to have me.
To be honest,
the token, as I said in one of the bands I was in, the token warm-hearted, lovable Cockney. Here I am. Hello, guys. Are you all right?
very, very
I'm
well.
all right. Are you coping in this crazy time?
Yeah. So, it's just boring, really. I mean, the first lockdown was great because we had my daughter at home with her boyfriend, and me and the missus, and the weather was great, and we've got a nice large garden, and I think the best text I got sent was that's the third time this week I've ordered wine for the next 2 weeks. That was about the size of it, the first one, and then second one was like, oh god. But now it's just boring, not because it's just me and my wife, because my daughter's not here anymore. It's just I think we've just got to get through it, really, haven't we?
Yeah.
I'm trying to write at the moment. It's like I can do that tomorrow, can't I? It's very easy to fall into that trap.
We spoke to a lot of people on the last few weeks who said these great intentions started great, slowed down a bit, and it's now harder to write. We've got people who've bought new equipment over Christmas and who are rejuvenated by playing, but most people are just cheesed off now. They're just pissed off with the whole thing.
Oh yeah. I mean, I learned this. For the non-musical listeners as such, I learned this program called GarageBand, and then I started on a program called Logic. In the first lockdown, I'm going to really conquer this technology, and in the end, I thought I'm not. And I got quite good at it, but then I just went back. I've got this instrument, this recording device that's basically powered by gas. It's that old, and I just use that, so I didn't really learn very much at all. But it's just. It still works, whatever it is. And then I record stuff and I give that to my good friend Mike Paxman, who makes it sound really good.
That's what it's all about. So take us back. So music, were you brought up with music? Was it in the blood, or did you learn it? Did you?
My mum could play. Well, can. She's 101. She's still around. She can still play piano. She was Yeah, she used to play piano, and my sister was learning piano, but she wasn't very good. And then I started doing violin, and funny enough, I should be playing a violin at the moment, because we were, cue the sad. I had a couple of violin lessons at school, and we didn't have a phone. And the violin teacher, who was doing the school, lived about 2 miles away. She walked round to my house and knocked at the door and said to my mum, "Oh, by the way." When she knocked the door, I thought, oh, no, I'm not in trouble again, am I? I was a terrible child, I've got to say. We're always in trouble. But she said, your son really needs private lessons. He's really got a talent. So
right.
For Mrs. Shipton, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you two now. But then, so I did lessons there. And then at the age of 11, I won a scholarship to the London College of Music, playing the violin.
Wow.
But I'd already heard the Beatles by then. So, it was bit of a waste of time, really. It really was.
Introduced the orchestra. George Martin introduced the orchestra in. It without the instruments, the strings, the less second half of the Beatles' career wouldn't have been as on recording as massive as it was. It was all about the instruments, the strings, and the orchestras behind them.
It's actually all about the songs.
Well, yeah, that's true.
You know, I mean,
Well,
if you listen to a song like Something, you've got George Harrison singing the song, and you've got Paul McCartney basically playing an entirely different song on the bass. It's so against it. It's incredible, and that's that. You know, they're just great. They're just amazing songs. You could treat those songs any way you liked.
I think that's why they stand the test of time. The Beatles songs, and that's why probably in our lifetime, Sam, they'll still be playing Beatles songs when we're gone.
Oh,
I'd like to think so. I mean, I can't think of many bands that are. It still sounds very fresh to me. I mean, technically not so fresh, but it's still got whatever it had then about it, I think.
Well, a certain band that I think has tested the test of time is still there with it, and it is the Quo for me. It is the Quo.
Oh well, you know, it's going to because it's a one-off. You know, there's when I joined this band, when I joined Quo, I saw them in 1971 in my local club, and they were just one of all these incredible bands that were just coming to my area, which was Twickenham. I mean, the list of amazing bands I saw, I could bore you for hours, but I saw them and thought, yeah, they're all right, you know. And then when I came to doing the In the Army Now record, which was my first record with the band, was actually, you know, it was quite not easy, but it was great. It was fun. But then when we started doing, I remember the first gig, you know, I was really weird. I looked over at Francis, and all of a sudden he was about 8 feet tall, and I thought, I'm taller than you. And I realised that he was the first artist with major charisma that I'd worked with, and you know, and it took me a couple of gigs to realise there's only one way to play Status Quo. I know that this sounds silly, but it's the right way. But there is only one right way, and it's far more difficult than people would think.
Oh, I've always, because I teach guitar in Liverpool, and people say, "Oh, three chord back," and I've defended the Quo for years, and I've said, because I obviously have had to teach a couple of Quo songs. Yeah. They're bloody hard, some of them.
Well, the thing is about them all, they're quite idiosyncratic. You know, that's why it doesn't sound like anything else. And also, you can tell all those people from me. You try writing a 3-chord song.
It's bloody hard.
It's an art form.
Yeah,
it really is. It's a very difficult thing to do. And yeah, I defy people to write one. I mean, actually my latest song's 3 chords. Yeah, but I like songs that are on 1 chord. Like I love Get the Party Started by Pink. I always thought that was an amazing song. It's 1 chord all the way through.
Is it 1 chord? Yeah.
It's in C, and it's just all the way through. And I love that. There's loads more, but of course I can't think of them.
That was a task I had when I was in uni, was to write a song with 1 chord, and loads of people, they really struggled because they couldn't get the idea about 1 chord. But there you go, Pink.
Yeah, and Kiss. I think that's 1 chord. Oh no, it's not. It's like a 12-bar. But you know, I love a simple song because they'll have attention to detail. That's the thing about the Quo songs. There's always a lot of attention to detail. It's like Caroline. Again, for our non-musical pundits, which includes me, of course, they play it in a certain key. They play it in the key of F so that they can go down, da 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 da, because they couldn't do it if they did it in the normal key. It's just little bits like that make it what it is. The sum of the parts.
Into the Quo, and they were obviously recording in the army now. What did you do? The process? Did you have to help them write it, or did they have the songs already?
No, the songs were already there, and some pretty much sorted. But Pip Williams was the producer, and he was really quite instrumental, if no pun intended, in making sure the arrangements were right, because he's a great arranger. I mean, he can stifle songs a bit, Pip can, because he's such a perfectionist. And sometimes you might lose a performance from it, you know, because there's a couple of bits that might be a bit wrong. But then that album really needed, the In the Army Now record, in my opinion, really needed to be really produced, because the band was trying to, it was the first album back. and I think there was a feeling that that it could have gone on to do the AOR thing that was very, very big at the time. Because let us not forget, Quo reinvented themselves once already, from the
psychedelic. Yeah. That's the first when I was a kid that I really started listening to music, if I'm actually honest with you, because we used to go on holiday every year from Liverpool down to Devon, and my dad used to play In the Army Now on cassette, and he'd flip it over, and flip it over. That's the first proper album I really...
I'm sure Dad had Alzheimer's. I'm sure Dad had Alzheimer's for.
It was a good album.
Hey, it's a good song, and we had a fantastic time making the album. I mean, it was very fresh, and I'd never seen debauchery like it. It was wild. I must say, it was really wild, and it was great. Good fun.
What was it?
I'd known Rick already because I did his album, but just getting to know Francis, and Rick. It was, and I was obviously, I was with my friend who was the drummer, so I didn't sort of feel lonely, if you like. But we worked. I felt we worked really hard and well, and I think they were very happy with what we did. And then we went off and did a few gigs. And I remember saying to Francis, we were in Zagreb, I think, and we were walking down the corridor of a hotel, and we'd done about 5 gigs. And I said, "Look, am I in the band or not? I need to know because I've got other things to commit to." And he said, "You've been in since day one." He said, "We're just doing these gigs to see how your mate fits in."
Wow.
which was Jeff, and which I didn't know, but I mean, I was still doing loads of other things at the time. One of the first TV shows I did with Quo, I was on it an hour earlier with Kim Wilde, and the day I finished In the Army Now, I went off to production rehearsals, and I was out on tour with Judy Zoot the next day, so I mean, I was doing. I was forging quite a nice career for myself, and quite wasn't. It was. I just done the album, but then they said, "Would you like to do some gigs?" I thought, "Well, yeah," because I love gigging.
Yeah.
I really like it. It really does. It gets in your blood. I mean, I'm a proper road dog, as they say. I'm very good at it. I mean, if I was crap at it, I wouldn't. God, I'd be so.
How long do you reckon you've been on the road for?
My first proper time on the road was 1976 in France. So I had 6 months on the road in France with a band. My first professional gig was making an album with a French megastar called Nino Ferrer, and we made an album with him. It was all just young guys, we didn't know each other. I knew one of the guys. That's how I got the thing. But he said, "I really like the way you guys play together. Why don't you stay and do an album?" Because his studio was in his house, in this massive house in Paris. And he said, "Why don't you guys stay for a few weeks and do an album?" So we stayed for about 2 or 3 weeks and did the worst album ever. The group's called the Spam Band because the guy who organised it all, I don't know why, but his nickname was Spam. And anyway, we did this album, but somehow we managed to wangle it that we, in 1976, that some of it, the ones of us that wanted to, got over to France.
Yeah.
How bizarre! Mike Paxman has just texted me. It's a Todd Rundgren track that I'm really big on at the moment. A Todd Rundgren track called "Let's Do This" with a guy called Mo Berg. Well, as he says, when Todd gets it right, he's one of the best. I'm quite a big Todd Rundgren fan.
So
you probably haven't heard of him, I know.
Well, you said the guy, the nickname. Where did Rhino come from?
Oh, I'm Austin Powers on that. I don't talk about that.
He's pleading the fifth on that one.
I won't bother. Yeah, it's actually really boring, which is why I don't bother. I prefer a bit of mystique.
The Quo,
what was I joking on about? I can't remember.
We're in France.
Oh yes, and whilst I was there, we were backing an Australian guy who was living there, and his manager was this guy called Jean-Philippe, and he said, "I'm putting this band together. They're called Space. We have a great name. We have great songs. Do you want to be in it?" I said, "All right, yeah, all right, And anyway, the band folded in France, but I got a phone call a couple of weeks later to say, would you like to come over and do TV shows? And I was living in a bedsit at the time, and it would be really weird. I'd get up at 7:30 in the morning, because I lived near Heathrow. Go to Heathrow, go first class, because you did in those days, to Paris. Go and do this amazing TV show, have dinner in like the Georges V, and I'd be back in my bedsit at 8:30 in the evening thinking, did that just happen? You know, I mean, that was strange times. I've worn some quite serious outfits in my time, and that was one of them. We used to wear ski suits. And I used to look like a cosmic ice cream salesman. I had a synthesizer around my neck. But you can imagine doing a ski suit, right? I remember we were doing a TV show in Switzerland, and it was 38 degrees in the studio, and I'm thinking, I'm in here wearing a ski suit. What a twat! But it was good, you know. It was good, you know. I mean, it was great days. You know, I saw a proper riot in Sicily. When back in the days when Italy was really political, the kids decided they didn't want to pay for this festival, so they just trashed it, trashed all the perimeter, and the police were charging them, and they were fighting. You know, it was really crazy.
What's it like when you're playing? Because one of the top gigs I've listened to on Spotify, it was the Live Alive Quo, 91 in Birmingham, I think it was. What's it like playing for like 125,000 people?
Well, let me think. If you're hungover, it's surprising. If you're not, it's a piece of cake. I mean, the biggest gig I ever did was in Central Park with a girl called Judy Zook, and I just read Elton John's book, and we were supporting him, and he reckons there were 600,000 people there.
What?
So that's that was So, but I was in her band, you know, in the backing band. A very good band, that was really good. Back in the days when record companies, if the album didn't sell, that's all right, do another one. And you know, and you'd get a chance to really hone your act. And of course now, we haven't got the stats.
Yeah. All the followers on Instagram.
Spotify, you're out. Yeah, you know, I mean, my son's in a band. They're called Flaws, by the way, FLAWES, signed to Red Bull. They're wicked. Red Bull have been amazing, but yeah, they're all, you know, they're not big on Facebook because, of course, nobody's big on Facebook when they're or the kids. You know, they're all into Instagram, and whatever the other platforms are they have. I don't know, but
it seems to be the thing now. The awards are not as viable these days, which is a shame.
Vinyl's coming back in. I know.
Yeah,
and I've started buying a vinyl. Yeah, I mean, I'm old, you know. It's like, I mean, I'm only like my mum and dad, you know. They hear all these records and rubbish all sounds the same, you know. And how different am I? I'm not really, but the difference is, I think, that we were all buying records. You know, it was records. I would buy a record, my parents would buy a record as well. Whereas now, you know, I still want something tangible.
Yeah,
I love a CD. Yeah. I love an album.
What's
And I refuse Spotify. I mean, that's just all that stuff to me is derisory, and it's killing a lot of music. And I know there are people that will disagree with me. Well, bollocks, because you're wrong.
I think
the
hard copy of records is the way it's always been. It's the way it's all I've known.
I don't know if it's the way forward or not, but I just think that they ought to stop taking the piss out of musicians with the money they give them. You know, it's an insult. It really is. I mean, I miss out by listening to a lot of music, but I don't want someone giving me a playlist of things I might like anyway. You know, I mean, I'd much rather my friends phone up and say, like people used to, I've seen a great band. I've heard a great record. And if I'd really like it, you know, I mean, I will check it out, unfortunately. Unless it's certain people, I'll just go and buy the record. But music isn't the force it once was. It's much more disposable now, and people expect it for nothing. And you know, it's not fair, really. It's, you know, that's like me saying, I suppose, well, okay, I'd like a curry, please, but I don't want to pay for it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I don't, you know, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, they say,
I want to go and watch Liverpool get beaten by Burnley. We won't mention that.
We won't talk about that.
I don't want to pay for it. I just want to go in. Well, you can't.
What, like when do you have a ritual or anything you do before a gig? Say because there's a big gig do you do the similar things or?
Sleep. I do. I have to have. I do. I have to have. I have a sleep before every gig. Whether myself and Andrew do that, and Francis will normally have a sleep in the and when Quo's on the road. Francis will have a sleep in the afternoon, and I normally, if we're on at 8:45, I'll sleep from sort of 7:15 till 8 because over 40 minutes you go 2 under, you know. So about 40 minutes, get up, have a shower, do the gig, and then have a drink, and get the bus and do it all again. But I mean, you know, the day's interspersed, but your whole day, as soon as you come off stage, you're planning for the next gig.
Yeah.
Go on.
You at the Philharmonic once, straight after the gig. He was in the Philharmonic pub, Sam. Straight up. He only went to see he told me the other day he only went to see the toilets though, to see in the Philharmonic. I
don't hang around in toilets, no. I went for a couple of pints before we got on the bus and went off somewhere else. I remember Kenny Dalglish was at that gig, by the way. Funnily enough, I met him. He was a very nice chap. Look at this non-alcoholic beer. Look.
Hey, it's all the craze now. This non-alcoholic stuff, isn't it? They're all.
We just decided that, you know, we didn't want to disappear into a bottle in lockdown because it's easy to do. So just have every other day, you know. Don't drink every other day, and it's all right. It's a bit boring, but you know, I'll feel great tomorrow.
Go on, Sam. Do you ever have a drink before you go on? We never, as musicians, we never do.
I used to, and then Francis just said, "I really don't want you to do that." And I thought about it, and I thought, well, I only have one drink anyway, so it doesn't really do anything. So I said, that's fair enough. So I don't anymore. I do if I do my Rhino's event stuff, I'll have a couple of drinks, but nothing much, you know. And then I'll get half cut on stage. That's fun, you know. I mean, well, not half cut, you know. I'll have a drink while I'm doing it. I do get nervous anyway. I do sometimes, yeah. The last gig I was a bit nervous at was our Hyde Park gig, but I don't like having guests at gigs. I just don't like it because when I'm at the gig, I'm there to work. You know, I don't want to be checking whether other people are all right. You know, I mean, my long suffering wife, you know, she knows that I'm not. I might well be horrible to her. You know, until after the gig, and then after the gig as well, I might ignore it because there's people I've got to see.
Yeah,
you know, so that's a difficult thing, and that does put me on edge before a gig. So London gigs are always a bit fraught. There's always people coming backstage, you know, and it's like I don't, you know, bugger off. You know, but I say that, of course.
What was it like before a gig with Rick and Francis? Was the banter, or did they just professional head, or what was it like? What was it like?
No, we you know, there's always a bit of a. You can notice that it almost, I don't know if it's the right word, imperceptibly, over the course of the day towards the gigs, towards showtime, there's a little bit of more of a. There's more of a vibe, if you like, you know, and so it is. It's probably all subconscious because we've done it so much, but it's leading up to the gig. And yeah, so from about, I don't know, whenever we all go into the main dressing room to get changed, because in some gigs we've all got our own dressing rooms, man. But then we go in and get changed, we'll just sit down, have a laugh, or, you know, have a play with a bit of warm-up. Francis is always warming up guitar. I mean, I'm surprised his fingers haven't fallen off, to be honest.
On stage, you can see when you're playing, you got the energy, you got the banter. There's always little conversations.
Yeah, we make sure we enjoy ourselves. You know, I think that it's really I'm a firm believer of the thing that if there's a lot of fun going on stage, apart from making sure it's right, and you want to be a good time band and make people happy, that radiates. You know, so yeah, we make. You know, I always make sure I have a fun time. It's very rare that I don't enjoy myself. Very rare that we'll all come off and say that the gig was great. That all five of us will.
Really?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I think Rick was very Rick used to moan about the sound a lot, and I mean, it's we use these in-ear monitors, and it's just what it is. You just got to get on.
Was that a big change for you when it went into in-ears?
It stopped me. It stopped me going deaf. Absolutely. Oh, I mean, the amplifiers used to be called the Wall of Death and Death Row. But I mean, I remember when I first did my kind of audition with Jeff, we went into a rehearsal studio there, and I was playing through a really big amp, and I had it cranked up really loud. And I came out of there, and like in the Hanna-Barbera cartoons, you get the sort of someone whacks a top cat round the head.
Oh,
I came out like that, and I spoke to Francis the next day. He said, "Oh, it was so great to play quietly for a change." It's like, okay, yeah, I'm used to playing in all these bands where it's like, "Oh, be quiet, the singer can't hear themselves," But keep it down, But yeah, so that's I can't remember what banging on about. I mean, I just go off on one, it's not right. Well, I know, but you asked me a question and I'm answering a different one.
Well, that's the way it should be.
Anyway, the short answer to your question is rarely.
Really. When we play shows, obviously not on the scale, we've done a few big things, but I agree. There's always someone who says, "I wasn't happy with that." Jess, our keyboard player, she's always the keys higher. She always wants the keys higher, Jess, doesn't she?
Always.
Yeah.
Always.
Are you two in the band together?
Things. I play the bass, not as good as you, but I play the bass.
You're that bad, are you?
I am.
Before tonight, Chris was the most famous bass player we've ever had on the podcast.
I think you mean the only
as well.
Yeah.
Because I'm a guitarist thrown on the bass. You play guitar as well. Was there any time when you were playing it and you just couldn't get the notes? There's some songs that we do and I just think, this is just hard work. Was there any times when you just think, this bloody song?
What you mean songs of yours or covers?
We do covers.
I have to tell you now, Chris, I hate covers bands that don't play the right chords.
We get them.
We do get them.
Oh, you do get them. Long as if you get them, I will come and see you. I saw a covers band before lockdown, and I went and they were playing an AC/DC song.
Oh, we don't do yeah.
And they murdered it, and he had the bass line wrong on an AC/DC song. I just went up to the interval and said, "Mate, how can you get that wrong?" Yeah. Have you heard their new single, by the way?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Realise. Cool, isn't it? It's called Realise, I think.
The pattern works for AC/DC. One of the best. People say to me all the time, "What gig would you have gone? Would you like to have seen?" Probably, I've seen only videos of it of AC/DC in Paris in '77 when Bon Scott was.
Oh yeah.
It was one of the last Bond gig I'd go to if I.
Funny, my friend Mike Paxman keeps coming up. He used to go and watch them in a pub in Hammersmith when they first came over from Australia, and he said Angus used to run along the bar of the pub. He said it's mad but amazing. But I just read a review of their new album, and it said their new album makes Status Quo sound like Stockhausen.
There you go.
There you go. That was really funny. A guy called Rod Liddle, who does a lot of music reviews.
Was an album 2019? That's the last Quo album.
Was it?
Was that the last Quo?
Backbone.
Yeah. So that's obviously on hold for the tour now. Then, going forward.
What is?
Would there be obviously there's no tour now for the next 2 years?
No, I mean, just one sec.
He's gone to get it. He's gone to get the bass.
No. I had to turn the heater off. I'm boiling. This is my daughter's bedroom. She's in South Africa, so she's stuck over there, which is a drag. But
yeah, will there be a tour? Do you think? Do you think you'll get out again?
There are plans.
Yeah,
and all will be revealed shortly. I think. That's. I don't really. Yeah, it's not right to say anymore. In case one of us dies for a start.
Don't say that, please.
Oh my God.
No, we have plans afoot, but it just depends on our wicket walking God's earth.
What's it like with the two new lads that have come in? Is it different? Is it a different kind of sound now? The drummer and the rhythm guitarist took over Rick. Which is it? Leon.
Yeah, I mean, they both, like me, took a while to get it. I mean, I've known Richie since he was about 14. In fact, I called him up to see if he was interested after my son left, because my son Freddie did it for 20 shows, but he didn't want to do it anymore. Yeah. And so we got Richie in, and he was really thrown at the deep end. I mean, that was tough for him. 2 days rehearsal. 2 days rehearsal with people with Francis, who's his idol. Well, Rick was, but with the band he absolutely adores. It's like, it was like, is this really happening? But then we did a gig in a town square in Belgium in front of 12,000 people. He did great, as Freddie did. I mean, I think that's what kids can do. I mean, Freddie came in to do a gig with us in the Lake District with no rehearsal, no sound check, on a guitar he'd never played before, and he didn't miss a chord or a bit. I was proud of him that day. I don't like to say I'm proud of my kids, but I was proud of him. And he was doing a drum solo. I just said, "How's it go? How's it going, mate?" He said, "A bar at a time, Dad." But he did. But no, Richie and Leon, they're great. It's nice having. They're lovely people, both of them. They're really great guys, and that counts for a lot. I mean, Richie's not Rick, and Leon's not Spud, and I'm not Nuff. I mean, it's just, it's bound to be. It's about, we can't play like them. They can't play like us. They might not want to. I don't know. I don't care. But that's what it. That's what it is. Leon's a more of a technical drummer than John is. Matthew was a more technical drummer than Leon is. Jeff was more of an animal. Everyone's got a different kind of personality. Jeff was a great vibe to play with Jeff.
He had more cymbals than I've ever seen any drummer having. He had the big rack, didn't he?
Yeah.
Just cymbals every.
He's got a tiny cock. You see, that's what it is.
I was waiting for it.
Yeah. I know. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a fan of that kind of thing. If you can't, it's like for me on bass. If you can't say it in 4 strings, and you can't. It's like, when I do Rhino's Revenge, which is my solo project, ladies and gentlemen. I would always like to ask the drummer to just use a 4-drum kit. Maybe 5 at the most. Because I like to keep it really simple. It makes everything a lot easier, especially for your out front guy. Or girl, of course, but whoever's doing the sound, the less is more. You get a fatter sound.
The headless bass come from? Because it's very distinct.
Yeah. Well, distinct. That's a good word. A lot of people say other words. They're like dated, 80s. Basically, I used to use a bass called an alembic, which is an American bass, and we used to call it the sideboard because it's so heavy. It's basically giving me back trouble, but it was an amazing bass. But I just saw this Status bass one day, and I thought in the bass center, and I thought, yeah, I'll have that as well. And it was back. I bought it in about 1982 when I was playing with Judy Zook, and it was all, big padded suits, and headless basses, And I didn't fancy a Steinberger bass, which was the original one. So I bought this Status, and I've still got it. Funny enough, someone's asked me a couple of days ago if they can buy it.
Really? Wow.
Funnily enough, but I got that. Then I had that and the Alembic, and I used them on everything I did for years. I did. What did I do with them? I did. Yeah. I'm name dropping. I did the Pet Shop Boys with them. I did. Peter Green. Yeah, or Judy.
Oh.
Kim. Oh no, Kim Wilde. I used her Precision. But yeah, I basically used them, and then when I joined Quo, I started using that one. But I did start to go off the sound. It was a bit honky. So I got one. They made me another one. I've become very good friends with Rob Green, who makes Status basses. And funnily enough, Chris Wolstenholme from Muse uses Status basses. But I think I haven't asked him actually because I see him fairly often. But I think he used them because he's a massive Quo fan.
Yeah.
And he used to come and say, he's a huge Quo fan. I mean, really big. When we didn't have a guitar player, he said he asked if he could do Rick. And,
really?
Yeah, and we having dinner. I said, all right, then go and send me the intro to whatever you want. And he sent it me about 10 minutes later, and it was awesome. Note perfect, real great groove, but it wouldn't work out. He only wanted to do a couple of gigs, and we needed somebody,
long term.
Yeah, it would have been great. He's such a nice man. He's a top bloke, him. A lot of people aren't top blokes, but he's one of them. He is.
What was it like playing Glastonbury? As we just heard the last couple of days, it's cancelled again this year. What was it like to play Glastonbury? What was it like to play Glastonbury?
Well, I played Glastonbury in 1981 first, I think 1982, and I did the Climax Blues Band at 2:30 and Judy Zook at 8 o'clock. So apparently I'm in a book of people who've played there twice in a day. But I really enjoyed it when we did it electrically. I think that they think they're doing you a favour, to be honest. I think when we played there, it was like the Legends spot, I suppose. That was a great gig. That was a gig we were really happy in that day. That was one of the best gigs we did.
Yeah.
With Matthew, we were all really firing. So much so that on the way back, Francis actually came into a pub. We actually left. We went off after about half an hour. And we were on our way back, and we said, "Come on, let's go and have a pint to celebrate," because it was a really good gig. We were great that day, and he even came in the pub. Yeah, so that was a rare thing for him. He's a very private guy, Francis.
What's in all those faces? Is it a buzz? It must be the biggest buzz you ever get in life, just to see. Just to feel.
I read a thing with Ryan Giggs, and he said, I don't agree with him, but he said scoring a goal is better than sex, and those kind of but only because there's so much pent up everything, emotion there. But it's not like that. What's it like? It's just great, It's what you set. If that's what you set out to do, and you're doing it, what's not to like?
Yeah.
I mean, that's. Andy Fraser would have been proud of me. Andy Fraser was a bass player of Free, and he's the reason I play the bass guitar. And he's still my all-time hero. Unfortunately, I never met him, but I'd like to think he'd be proud of me now. Yeah, I love his play.
Well, you did meet Ryan Giggs though when you did the song for the cup final for them.
He wasn't there.
Was he not there?
I don't think so. I remember standing opposite a microphone with Roy
Keane.
Roy Keane and Dennis Irwin, and that was. I thought, you're footballers, aren't you? Oh, I better not say that because if Roy Keane if I ever meet him, he'd probably punch me. But, yeah, that was great. Mark Hughes was a very nice bloke. Dion Dublin was lovely, and Peter Schmeichel was a real laugh, real fun. I've got a great picture of me and him. I'm not name dropping. Well, no, I am, but I'm not. It's what it was. I get totally starstruck.
Do you?
Oh yeah, I had a great moment. Oh, here we go again. I was doing the Prince's Trust, and we went to meet Prince Charles. Oh God! And I'm standing next to Mike Rutherford from Mike and the Mechanics and Genesis.
Wow.
Anyway, okay. And I was chatting to a very nice boy. Very nice, very tall, very very proper. And I said to him, I saw you in Ilp Island in Twickenham in 1969 supporting Free. And he said, I remember that, dear boy, I remember that gig so well. He said, I remember we got £7 and for some reason the microphone ended up in the river because it was across the River Thames. And I said, isn't it amazing? I did that now, And I said, by the way, I'm the bass player on Status Quo. And he just looked at me and said, dear boy, I know who you are. You know, so that was, that was a result. I mean, I can tell you, loads, but another one. I was a huge Small Faces fan. I actually played with Steve Marriott quite a few times in France in 1976. But Andrew introduced me to Ian McLagan, who was the keyboard player, the late Ian McLagan. I mean, what a player that guy was. He played the Impact Tin Soldier, Ichiku Park. I was a big fan of the Small Faces. And he was playing with Rod Stewart. Oh, fucking hell. Here we go. He was playing in Switzerland Festival. And Robert Plant was going over to go at the waiter. I remember that. But I was introduced and I had a chat with him. And I was just going up to my room. The door opened on the lift, and it was Ian McLagan. He said, "Oh, right, Rhino." I said, "Yeah, Matt. I am. What could you?" He said, "Come on down. I'll buy a pint of Guinness." I said, "No, you're all right, But I went on the lift and go, "Oh, fucking hell, that's awesome." Ian McLagan just asked me if I want a pint of Guinness with him. I mean, I'm a huge fan. I mean, playing with Roy Wood. I actually played with Roy Wood. I learned a song called. I was in the Climax Blues Band, and they did a charity concert for one of the guys who died, and Roy was playing, and I know his bass player, and I said, "Can I play with him? Can I play with the guy? Sit in for a number?" He said, "Yeah, I'll square it with him." And he did. We did California Man, and I learnt the shit out of that song. And I said, and I go, "Oh my God, I'm playing with Roy Wood." So made up. It's great.
You though, didn't he?
Yeah, he's a really nice bloke. Except he had an argument with my missus and she told him to fuck off, and he didn't like that very much. She told him to fuck off. Good on her.
Listen, we've got to mention Super Smashing Great while we're here as well.
Mention it, absolutely, yeah. Well, it's just, I appreciate that we are in the midst of a pandemic, and I know that there's no easy cures for anything. But I think that the live music scene and the rock industry is very low down the list, and I checked it out. It's £5.9 billion a year in the UK. That's before all the ancillary workers and everything like that. So all the tax, and I worked out there's over $1 billion in VAT they're getting. And they gave 1.7 billion, I think, to the entire industry. They don't give it. I don't think that they care about rock and roll. And to me, that's been shown even more in the last couple of days by the fact that they're just saying, "Oh no," because of the fact that it looks like it's going to be very difficult to tour in the EU, which for small bands is a dreadful thing. Having to get visas and carnets and stuff. I know because I've done it on that level when you used to, and they're just passing the buck. The EU will pass it back, and I just don't think they care. They don't want to make a compromise on our behalf, And people need music. I think it's especially of a certain age. People who like rock music, but for bands like Quo, they want to go and have a few beers, get a bit pissed. Have a right rocking time, and come out feeling happy with life, or happier than when they went in because they've been able to forget their whatever is going on for a couple of hours and had a real, had a hoot. And so Super Smashing Great, I wrote about 3 months ago, I think 4 months ago, because I was just, I just don't think they care about us really. And as I said, I know there's a pandemic on and there's no easy choices, but I thought I might as well say it. And I also did it for a reason. I've done it for a charity, of course, whose name escapes me, but it's a road crew charity because basically I spoke to the guy at the charity. He said, "I'm putting food on people's tables, through the charity because they've been, they've fallen through the cracks and they're absolutely skint." Yeah. So the song's available on rhinosrevenge.com still. And that has got a donate button to this charity whose name escapes me. Sam, could you?
Stagehand. There you go.
There you go. Stagehand. So if you feel like donating, if you like the song, or even if you don't like it, just buy it on iTunes, not on anywhere else. It's only 99p, and all that money or whatever comes back to me. And I think as the record company and everything, I'll probably get all of it. All of that will go to the stagehand charity. So that's why I did it. You know, I mean, I'd have put it out, but I thought, well, I might as well make a bit of a statement, if you like. And I think, you know, I'm hoping that it does some good.
You do other charity work as well. You had a lockdown gig in the first lockdown.
Oh, with my daughter, yeah, with their fiance. You know, he said to me, we did a Bill Withers kind of tribute because he died quite recently, and he told me about a week before, after me and May had signed up for it, he said, I've actually never played a song from start to finish in my life. So yeah, there was a bit of a crash course there, and we did too. The second one wasn't so good. We got a bit carried away, and then I did a solo, my first ever solo gig in my garden with Alan, my pet Rhino, for Save the Rhino. And I've just seen something tonight, funny enough, on the TV, and I've decided that I'm going to do another one for London Zoo.
Oh, right, okay.
Well, it's really, I mean, it's difficult. You know, you've got Chester Zoo up there, haven't you?
Almost Chester Zoo, which is, I went to Chester Zoo halfway through the first pandemic, and it was well organised, and so they was trying to keep it open, trying to do. And obviously, it's all shut now, but it was very organised, and they were keeping people moving and stuff. So I hope we all get back to normal stuff, and I hope we can all go and see the Quo on the road again, and a lot of times. I've seen you more than any other band I've seen, which is quite cool. It's quite cool. I know the other day on the phone, one of the best ones was in Speak Hall, and
peeing with rain.
It was pissing down all day. All night. You think, oh, great. Yeah.
Oh, well, you know, the night before, the night before as well, we'd done a gig in Ireland, and it had pissed down there. And I remember because we flew Ryanair into John Lennon Airport, and I just remember thinking, it can't be that bad in Liverpool. It just can't be like it was last night, and it was probably worse.
It was awful.
And I'll tell you what, the bizarre thing, right? The night before that gig that we played in Ireland, right? There was a kid, and it was pissing down. And there's a kid with no shirt on in the front going mental. And it was Richie Malone.
Wow. Was it, yeah?
Yep. He's a massive fan, Richie. Richie Malone, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, is our guitar player now. I spoke to him yesterday. He's a sweetie.
Isn't he? Of some big shoes. He had to fill some big shoes with Rick.
When I phoned him up, he actually told me afterwards. He said he nearly crashed his car, but I didn't tell me that at the time. He pulled over, and I sort of spoke to him for about a couple of minutes, and I said, you know, what do you reckon then? Can you do that? And there's a bit of a silence. Went, yeah, and I just knew he could do it. And you know, he's got an inner confidence, Richie, and then I just got him to send me some stuff to make sure he could play in time. And it wasn't like he wouldn't know the songs. I'm sure he knows more Quo songs than I do. You know, I mean, he's a fan. He's a real aficionado, like your good selves. You know.
Oh, thank you very much.
He's crossed the divide. You know, it's great, and you know, he's just loved it. You know, and bizarrely, he was thinking about giving up playing before about a week before I phoned him up. He'd actually just decided that he was thinking.
Wow.
Yeah.
Have you got any songs that you just love to play in the Quo set? Is there any songs that particularly stand out and you think, I just love playing that song?
I love playing Rain.
Rain.
I always loved the song, and now I'm the lead shouter on it, so that's quite good. What else do I like? Hold You Back, I'm very keen on.
Yeah.
Paper Plane is one of my. I also think Paper Plane is one of Status Quo's finest records because they're just really going for it, you know. And I think they're probably playing at the peak of the limit of their abilities, but they're just saying, bugger it, let's just do this, you know. And it's really heavy, you know,
because especially when we're like to Caroline, it's just that thumping bass and drums.
Oh, absolutely. They're very high. They're very high in the mix. You listen to those records; they sound very small, but that's great, you know, good sonic architecture. So what if it sounds small? You can hear everything really punchy and clear.
And live though, when you're going for it, it really does.
Our out front sound engineer was fantastic.
Oh,
Yeah, he really is great. And and Mr. Andy May, he's a legend in the business, as he deserves to be.
Well, he gets the thumping sound. Is there any gigs that stand out to you, and you think it's best gig I've ever, apart from Glastonbury?
Yeah. There was there's a few. I like Down Low when we played Down Low. That was pretty good. There's two gigs we did in Mexico. It's really weird. Okay, we are in Mexico. It's like being massive in, let me think, Chester. No, not Chester. Where are the Anthony
Crosby.
Gormley men in the sea?
Oh, Crosby.
Yeah, it's like being massive in Crosby and not meaning anything anywhere else. But we were huge in this place called Nessa, which is a suburb of Mexico City. So we had a week there, and that was we did South America, and that was really that I got. They were all going mental in Brazil, not all, but some mad time. And I got sick, really badly sick, which was perfect. And the only thing that kept me going was on the hotel TV. Antiques Roadshow was on twice a day. I mean, I was sick.
Wow.
So
what's with your love for Antiques Roadshow? What's the love affair with Antiques Roadshow?
Well, no, that was because of that. It was the only English program on the telly all day, and I was flued up in a massive way. I mean, I've never felt so ill. So that was on in the morning and in the evening, and that was the only English program I could find. So I just get up and watch that, and oh yeah, now I'm going to feel shit again for the next 12 hours. They're all out going, partying like crazy. But anyway, we're big in this place called Nessa, and we played in the car park of the football ground. We did 2 nights there, and apparently all the gangs in Nessa had decided that when the Quo was in town, they were going to have a truce for 2 days, which was amazing. And I tell you what, the bootleg merchandise was so much better than ours. But of course, our merchandiser went out there and said, "Well, you can't." Oh, actually, you probably can do that. Yes, guys, enjoy. I love your merch, guys. Yeah, it's really good of mine, but it actually was. But we were playing this gig, and the audience were mental. And we're playing a car park, and the floor of the car park is shaking.
Wow.
Oh, it was really, really something. And then we went back again and we did a gig. We did 2 gigs, one in the town, but then we played at a bull ring in Mexico City, and I didn't think we'd have many people there. We had about 12,000, which was great. But they just Mexican crowds and Spanish crowds, I think they're probably the best. They just go mental. I remember we're not that big in Spain, but I remember we played a club in Bilbao. I mean, a large club, and we were doing Down, Down, and I could hear the audience over the band singing.
You're joking.
And I got in ears in as well, so it was just that was mental. They are fun places to play. But Spain, Italy, Spain. Yeah, I really like to play Spain. I mean, I like playing anywhere.
Especially during these times. Anyway.
Well, yeah, it's actually over a year. The last gig I did was last January. I did a Rhino's Revenge gig in Skegness at Butlins, and I mean, we go anywhere. I mean, I don't quite understand. I think I said to you, Chris, that I can't understand why I couldn't carry on doing my gigs, because they were so easy to socially distance because there's nobody there.
Don't be saying that.
I can half a gig, no problem.
They'll bring 10 people.
We've never played around Liverpool, funnily enough.
There you go.
Do
Absolutely.
a gig with your band.
We'll sort that out.
We'll sort that out.
Yeah, all right. Then we only want 200 grand. It's pretty reasonable.
Yeah, well,
not only are we good, we're cheap.
Do you think then, next 10 years for Quo, what can you think? A few more albums? Do you think you get a few more albums?
I'm keen.
Yeah.
In fact, I've just written a song with Francis, funnily enough, that I really like.
Are you writing him sending ideas?
No, Francis just sent me. I was at the first lockdown. I mean, when I write songs, I take a long time. I really do. I mean, Super Smashing Great. I probably put at least 50 hours into writing the lyric. You know, nobody realizes that. I mean, for me, it's really important to have a good lyric, and that can I'll spend at least that on a lot of songs, you know. But then again, I wrote a song called Two-Way Traffic, and that took about 3 hours. No, about 10 hours to write the lyrics on that.
And
that's another song that I really enjoy. Another song that I really enjoy playing live, and I think that's a drag we don't do it anymore.
Oh, do you pick the sets or the classics, or
if you think the set more or less picks itself nowadays, because we're more. Yeah. It's not a you know, we don't get a lot of. We get a lot of people that like rock music. We don't get a lot of rock fans, if you like.
Yeah.
Or we get the people that want to come. They, you know, there are obviously a lot of songs that people are going to want to hear, and I hear, you know, some fans are saying, "Oh, you should play, you know, the B-side of, you know, Break the Rules," whatever that is. You know, the fans would love it. No, they wouldn't.
No, they want to hear the classics.
What's this? Yeah, what's this? Oh, okay. Let's go to the bar. You know, I mean, there's some songs that I mean have been in the set for a long time, which have surprised me. But they produce different. If you like, you know, we do the Oriental that song, and I'm surprised we played it so long. But then when we thought about it, it's a different colour in the show. You know, it's not. It's really worked out what happens, because you have to take. You know, you want to take people with you on a musical journey, man. Yeah. But you do, you know, it's really important that people make it to the end. No, but you know, it's just the way you build it to the end, and it's scientific.
Yeah, but
I know we get flack for not changing it, but that song in particular, I don't know whether we're going to do that anymore. But it's you know, it's just a different colour. It's really important to keep the music colourful. People don't think that Status Quo is a very colourful band. That's not true.
Kind of technically different than the other style. It's not that. It's not the heavy. It's
Tupac. I took the riff from Tupac. California Love. California Love.
It's a good tune.
Which is for Average White Band, actually, by the way. But don't tell them. Oops.
Oh dear.
Yeah, they're gonna be bothered, aren't they?
But that's the way it's gonna be. So hopefully we can all get out and see it on tour again. That's the most important.
Well, I hope so. What it'll look like, I don't know. But I'm you know, when Andrew's first wife died very sadly, the lovely Carolyn, and he just met someone else, and I said to him one day, you know, why don't you just go off, you know, and get married and live happily ever after? He said, well, because this is what I do.
Yeah.
You know, and I get it, you know, and it really not stopped me in my tracks, but I thought, yeah, you're absolutely right. And it's the same as what I do as well.
Yeah.
You know, and I've always said that the music business will retire me. I won't retire from the music business. And this is a test, I think.
Yeah. Be proud of all your achievements over the years. Millions and millions of albums sold, over 100 singles, over 30 albums. I read a fact that you're the most band to play Wembley. You're the most band to appear on Top of the Pops. You've played to over 25 million people in your career. You must be so proud of everything.
Well, you know, you are. I think that I've been there for half of that journey, I suppose, 2/3. But you know, I mean, my career has been very varied. I've had a job. I had a day job where I was a gas cooker. I literally used to get in a gas cooker and walk around town centres in a gas cooker. I've worn spacesuits. I've dyed my hair black. I've looked like a country bumpkin. I've looked like I've been in the Ivy League. I've worn denim. I've looked like a total twat at times. I've had a lot of different looks. I think I missed one or two there, but I've also achieved everything I knew I would, and then some on top of that. I mean, it's, you know, I'm a very good tourist as well. I'm not one of those people that just sits around at the gig. I have to get away from the gig. That's my show. It makes for a better show than me if I can get out and have a look what's going on. And I've seen a lot of the world, much more than a lot of my contemporaries as well. Myself and Andrew Bowen have been out. We have seen a lot of things in our time, and some of it's really mind blowing. And I'm really pleased to. Apart from, I always knew I'd be in a big band. I couldn't have been in a better band than Quo, because if you like, if I'd been in Muse, say, okay, I'd have a lot more dosh than I've got. But all I would do is stay in a suite in a hotel, and I'd be in the city centre all the time, playing the arenas and stuff like that. Whereas with Quo, we go out and play bumfuck nowhere. But bumfuck nowhere has always got something that's really interesting. I mean, up near you in Southport, I've been to the Lawnmower Museum there. Actually, not. I don't know if you've been there. It's not as dull as it sounds. There's great art in Liverpool. I brought my missus up a few years ago to see the Gormley stuff and go to the Tate, and I think I said this to you when I spoke to you before. When I used to come to Liverpool, it was horrible. In late '60s was the first time I went there, and when it got European City of Culture, I mean, it couldn't have happened to a better place. It's a great, the humour's never changed, and the people have never changed, but there's a lot of treasure there, and that's been given its fair dues. Port Sunlight and places like that. It's a lovely place. I wasn't, funny enough, I wasn't that taken with Chester. Everyone goes on about how beautiful it is. I really wasn't really that taken, except that at the racecourse, they have got a Rhino there that's exactly the same as my Rhino.
Oh, there you go.
As you look at the racecourse, it's got a Rhino there, just like my Alan. It's something to do with Alan Lancaster, by the way.
No, I was going to say that.
No. We got it. It was delivered, and I was with my son Freddie, and these two guys, and we got it, and it was a real pain. But we put it in the garden. I thought, oh, that looks really cool. And I said to him, I just said to Freddie, what should we call it? He just said, Alan. So it's always been Alan. He's very very quiet, but so he's part of the furniture, part of the family. Francis is not quiet. No, enigmatic, but not quiet. No, he's a lovely guy, Francis. He really is. In this business, it's really rare to meet people as loyal as Francis. He's the most loyal bloke you'll ever meet. Yeah. He really is. He's a good man.
Obviously, you miss playing alongside Rick.
Rick's playing had a, which is what you were saying earlier. About people's playing. Richie's great, and Richie has really studied Rick.
Yeah.
But, there's only one Rick. I mean, Richie has got the same. He's got the same right hand technique as Rick. Sorry, smutty joke there. But it's a very difficult thing to do. Rick's
style.
Yeah, Rick's style is very, very. Rick was a one-trick pony, but he didn't need any more than that one trick because it was awesome.
Yeah.
I learned a lot about playing guitar from Rick and Francis, but the rhythm side of it from both of them. But I suppose I'm more a Rick kind of player, like a bit less. Rick was actually quite a subtle player. You'd never know it when you da 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 da. But actually, a lot of thought in his parts.
Strings, very heavy pleck. That was his style.
Oh yeah, and really, he was brilliant. And I still mention him all the time. Yeah. I do. He told me. I remember a joke he told me. I don't know how how X-ray. Now you'll have to make a call on this whether you edit it or not, right?
Come on.
And he said, I just made up a joke. I said, all right, what is it? He said, bloke rings up at work and he says, I can't come in today, I'm sick. And he says, how sick are you? He said, I'm in bed with my daughter.
Oh, no.
So I think probably not. You know,
I think on that bombshell, ladies and
'Cause it was-
gentlemen.
I wouldn't want to portray Rick
No,
in that light, you know. But
We'll-
I tell you what, I cracked up. It made me. I mean, he could make. You can actually put an edit point in there about Rick. He could make you weep with laughter. He really could. And he had this innate sense. He was really wacky, and he'd say something, and he'd know if it was funny or not. And if it was funny, he'd sort of push it along. But if it wasn't funny, he'd never mention it again. He's very yeah. He wasn't, but he was. He's probably the funniest man I've ever met.
Yeah, and I bet it was a pleasure these people for all these years.
It can be.
Tonight, it's been an absolute joy just to speak to someone who I've watched for years and years just to see it.
John, he's been absolutely breaking it all week.
Oh, guys, I mean, you know, yeah. Well, I hope you've got enough to fill up 4 minutes of your podcast.
More than that.
It's been an absolute pleasure, and it's just. How can I say? I've listened to you so many years. It's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure.
All right, guys. Well, thank you very much. All right, guys. Well, thank you very much. You know, thanks for taking your time as well.
On the road and Rhino's Revenge.
Absolutely, guys. Make sure to go and purchase the charity single for the stagehand. Obviously, we want to raise as much money. John's done this charity track. Go on, John. Take it away.
That's all. Just buy on iTunes, folks, if you don't mind. And I'll be doing. And I'm writing a new Rhino's Revenge album, which I shall inflict on the world sometime this year. And hopefully I'll see you out there in some little dump somewhere that's going to rock, and we're going to
get you to Liverpool.
Yeah, you're welcome to Liverpool anytime.
All right, guys. Nice talking to you.
Guys, that's been the Sea Live Podcast. Thank you so much. Make sure to join us next week with another fantastic guest. As always, stay safe out there. Good night. God bless. Bye-bye.